So my friends, welcome to a new crypto update video. Bitcoin is at 103,900 US dollars. Very little has happened. Last night, after the live stream, we had a slight sell-off, but it recovered again, and now the market is moving slightly upward. You just have to say, at the moment, we are simply in a larger range. And if we sketch this out a bit here, it's been going on like this for quite a while now. The question is this a range like the one we had back at our last all-time high, just on a larger scale, so like here, where it stretched out over several months? Or is this just a short-term thing? And we'll end up dropping down again towards 96 or 98,000 US dollars. How things will continue, what the other trades are doing, all of that we'll definitely discuss in today's update video. But before we get started, as always, feel free to leave a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and of course join the free Telegram Talk and Signal channel. If you're interested in updates, news and signals, feel free to join in. You can find the link for that for free down in the video description, and if you're still looking for an exchange where you can trade everything we discuss here, buy spot or do staking, you can do all of that on my partner exchange, BingX. The link for that is also down in the video description. This way you support the channel and me. So Bitcoin is at, as I said, 103,800 US dollars. As mentioned, we had the idea actually already in yesterday's live stream and even earlier in the video yesterday morning that this red box would be very decisive. And that's exactly how it turned out in the end. We just grabbed the liquidity, then initially moved down a bit to 102,500 US dollars, and last night it went back up again. To get ahead of things, why did that happen? The US indices did the same thing yesterday as well, with a brief sell-off here, and then ultimately closing at break-even. But we'll talk about that again in a moment. But here too, I have to honestly add, just to get a bit ahead of things again, if we take a look at the Nasdaq as a reference, I'm honestly not really bullish about the whole situation, judging by the candle closes and so on. And that's also why I'm still being cautious with Bitcoin and tend to stay on the short side. The news situation was, of course, well, actually pretty good yesterday as well. The economy is doing relatively well, one could say, but that's not what Paul wants. Then Powell gave another speech saying that inflation and such need to be downplayed a bit more, etc. and so on. So it's not really all 100% great out there. We know that that's nothing new. We have the 10-year government bonds, which are still at a very high level. And on top of that, the 2-year bonds as well. It doesn't really matter. But honestly, there's nothing here that points to a bull run. The only thing currently supporting this are all the good news. And apparently that's already enough to pump the markets like crazy, but that can also backfire very quickly. That's why you just have to act cautiously. As for short positions, I mentioned it again yesterday in the Telegram group. That was the setup for it. If you want, you can hedge it. That might actually be better because right now you shouldn't be taking any unnecessary risks. Maybe someone has already taken profits, but better safe than sorry at this point. Nevertheless, for me, the yellow scenario is definitely still in play here. That means, just as we discussed yesterday, the red box, as long as we don't really break above this zone in a sustained way and only keep grabbing the liquidity above it, which we can also clearly see on the heat map. Let's take another quick look at that on the 3-day view. So we still have quite a bit of liquidity at 105,400. It would also make sense to just grab the liquidity above here once more. That would be the alternative scenario we talked about. The short-term scenario is probably becoming less and less likely. Not only because the funding rates have dropped significantly again, but also because there isn't as much liquidity to the downside anymore. There's simply a lot more to gain on the upside. Yesterday we had the opportunity for the sell-off. You can see it here, 105,000, 106,000 US dollars, and then not again until 100,000 US dollars. Now it makes sense for anyone still considering going short here. If I were you, I just wouldn't do it. I'd rather wait for the area up here, 105, 106,000, and then go for it on the way down. That means the yellow scenario is still active, but only, or at least only, as long as we don't get a sustained 4-hour close above this level. And we'll probably know that in about 3 hours. That's all for Bitcoin. Nothing else has changed. We have a range. There's no need to go into detail about it. And as I said, funding rates have even dropped again. Let's move on to the altcoins. What's Ethereum doing? Ethereum is also showing absolutely sideways price action. So it's very quiet here as well. Honestly, there's very little happening here. You really don't need to get into any trades here either. You know my opinion. If anything, then up here at 2,770, up to 2,900 US dollars. Those are the house levels I'd like to see for a short. Otherwise, we don't know. Maybe some crappy news will come out. Things can always change at any time. But I think today it's actually still very, very quiet in that regard. Well, building permits, export prices, yeah, maybe the export price index because of tariffs, but otherwise it's very, very quiet today in that regard. Let's move on to Solana. Solana is also showing sideways price action. Nothing happening here either. You also know my opinion from yesterday on this one. 184, sure, that was great, but I somehow think that we'll go up here again. And that would also fit the picture for BTC, that will head up again towards 150 to 160,000 US dollars. That would also fit with the altcoins like Ethereum and Solana. That would mean another step upwards there as well. Let's move on to the traditional markets. Gold. Gold is performing extremely well, I have to say, at this point, so we can give ourselves a nice pat on the back here. It really paid off to have the patience to wait here. I waited for ages for us to get down into the golden pocket. Yesterday, as I already mentioned in the live stream, unfortunately, we got retraced here at the 200 SMA. That's a negative sign because the last time we got retraced there, which was about half a year ago, we had a bit of a struggle with the 200 SMA on the 4-hour chart. So we need to keep an eye on this here. It could be that this was already it again here, but as I said yesterday, I took the first take profit, and for the second take profit, I actually have to check myself right now. Looking at the price high, yes, high at 3,252. Take profit 2 was here. I can see that myself. That's where the pivot is. So 2 take profits have already been taken. The third one is up here in the new golden pocket from our downward movement. That means the trade is running, and for now, we don't need to do anything. Possibly. And this is the alternative I've marked here. This is again alternative B for potential short trades, but that's still a long way off. Who knows what will happen by then. Maybe the trade will have already been stopped out by then, but here, the golden pocket, inefficiency, and so on would be an alternative for a hedge. Short. So just keep an eye on it. Nothing is happening with the DEX. Sideways price action. I already mentioned at the beginning of the video about the Dow Jones that it's starting to look like it's running out of steam a bit. That's how it seems to me. We're up against massive resistance here, and we've already talked about the possibility of it reaching this point. Nasdaq, yeah, not really extremely bullish either. No. And S&P 500, how does that look? Yeah. Weak. So I still don't really trust the whole market. I'm just telling you how it is, especially with this daily close here. Yeah. I don't know, just barely above it, but okay. Let's just see what happens. We definitely have room to move up, to be honest with you. I wouldn't short it. At this point, it's really just a gut feeling. And we'll keep watching. Honestly, for me, why not? Just go for it. Throw everything in, pump as much money or as much FOMO into the markets as possible until it can't go any further. And then in the end, do exactly that. Flush all the money back out of the market. That's just kind of the idea at the moment. Euro versus US dollar, unfortunately, really unfortunately, I have to say. Ransom hasn't hit our long position yet. That would have been the scenario down below that we would drop down here again. The long position is still marked in red, but as we learned with gold, have a bit of patience. Maybe it will happen here too, because in terms of volume, it's not really bullish yet. It could well be that we come down here again, maybe even today, and then trigger our long position. The short position definitely remains open. Otherwise, that's it from my side. Later, there will be an XRP update, and otherwise, I wish you all a nice, relaxing day. Leave a like, subscribe, join the Telegram group, and feel free to check out Binks, and we'll catch up again later. Until then, bye-bye, and as always, stay Cryptog.